What if I told you there's a person out there who gets paid to sniff armpits for a living? And no, that's not a joke. It's a real job, complete with a paycheck and benefits. Welcome to the wild, wacky, and utterly unexpected world of America's weirdest careers, where the line between "what on earth" and "sign me up" gets blurrier by the minute. Today, we're diving headfirst into the strangest, most jaw-dropping jobs you never knew existed. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at the workforce the same way again. Think about the last time you complained about your job. Maybe your boss micromanages you, or your cubicle feels like a closet. But imagine rolling into work knowing your daily tasks include testing mattresses by napping on them, or getting paid to watch paint dry, literally. These aren't made-up scenarios, they're real professions hiding in plain sight, tucked into corners of the economy you didn't even know existed. And the craziest part, some of these jobs pay shockingly well. So why do these bizarre careers even exist? Behind every oddball job title, there's a story, a gap in the market, a quirk of human nature, or just the sheer creativity of an industry that refuses to be boring. From professional sleeper to golf ball diver, we're about to uncover the hidden world of work that's anything but ordinary. Whether you're here for the laughs, the curiosity, or just to see if your dream job is secretly on this list, buckle up. Because what you're about to discover will make you question everything you thought you knew about earning a living. Ever heard of getting paid just to give someone a hug? Meet the professional snugglers, real people who earn a living by offering warm, comforting cuddles to complete strangers, no strings attached. This isn't some underground trend. It's a legitimate service with certified training programs and even dedicated companies like Cuddlist, where clients book sessions to unwind, distress, or simply feel human connection in a world that's increasingly disconnected. You might wonder, what does a typical workday look like for a professional snuggler? Picture this: a cozy, safe space with blankets and pillows, where the snugglers guide clients through platonic touch sessions tailored to their comfort levels. Some people book sessions to ease loneliness, others to cope with anxiety, and some just crave the simple, healing power of touch without the complications of romantic relationships. And yes, there's strict training involved. Boundaries, consent, and emotional sensitivity are all part of the job description. The demand for this service is exploding, especially in big cities where isolation runs high. One snuggler reported clients ranging from overworked executives to grieving widowers, all seeking a moment of warmth in their hectic or lonely lives. And the pay: some snugglers charge upwards of $80 an hour, proving that comfort is a commodity people are willing to invest in. What makes this job truly fascinating isn't just the strangeness of the concept, it's the way it highlights a deep, often overlooked human need. In an era where screens dominate our interactions, the hunger for real, physical connection is stronger than ever. Professional snugglers aren't just filling a niche, they're addressing a silent crisis of touch deprivation, one hug at a time. Now imagine clocking in for work knowing your entire job revolves around smelling other people's body odor, not as a prank but as a highly trained professional. Meet the odor judges, the unsung heroes of the deodorant industry whose noses are worth their weight in gold. These specialists spend their days meticulously sniffing armpits to help companies perfect their products, ensuring your antiperspirant actually works before it hits store shelves. So how does one become a certified armpit sniffer? It's not as simple as having a strong stomach. Odor judges undergo months of rigorous training to calibrate their noses, learning to identify and grade scents on a precise scale. They memorize everything from mild sweat to full-blown post-workout stench, categorizing odors by intensity, sharpness, and even how long they linger. Some labs use standardized odor wheels akin to a sommelier's wine flavor chart, except instead of detecting notes of oak or blackberry, they're picking up hints of onion, cheese, or ammonia. The testing process itself is surprisingly scientific. Volunteers apply different deodorant formulas, then sweat under controlled conditions. Think treadmill sessions or sauna stays before judges assess the results. Each sniff is timed, with judges rotating to avoid nose fatigue, a real phenomenon where your senses dull after too much exposure. And here's the kicker. Some top odor judges can detect subtle differences between formulas that machines can't even measure, making their skills irreplaceable. But why does this job exist? Because humans are remarkably bad at judging our own smells. Ever notice how you can't smell your own house but instantly notice someone else's? That's called olfactory adaptation, and it's why companies rely on fresh noses to test products. A single odor judge's verdict can make or break a multi-million-dollar formula, proving that in the battle against body odor, the real MVW's most valuable whiffers are the ones quietly sniffing their way to a paycheck. What's fascinating isn't just the weirdness of the job, but how it underscores the intersection of biology and commerce. In a world obsessed with masking natural scents, these judges are the gatekeepers of freshness, blending science, sensory skill, and a tolerance for the downright funky. Next time you reach for that trusty deodorant, remember, somewhere, someone got paid to smell armpits so you wouldn't have to. Deep beneath the glassy surfaces of golf course water hazards lies a treasure hunt unlike any other, where instead of gold, the loot is small, dimpled, and worth upwards of $1 per ball. Meet the golf ball divers, the underwater scavengers who trade murky lakes and lurking alligators for a paycheck that can hit 4 figures in a single day. Picture this: you're suited up in a wetsuit, weighted belt strapped on, as you plunge into water so murky you can't see your own hands, your only tools. A mesh bag, a hooked pole, and sheer instinct as you feel along the bottom for the smooth, rounded shapes of lost golf balls. Some divers compare it to an Easter egg hunt, if the eggs were scattered in snake-infested swamps, and the prize money depended on how many you could haul out before your oxygen tank ran low. The dangers are very real. In Florida alone, divers regularly share waterways with alligators, venomous snakes, and even the occasional startled snapping turtle. One veteran diver described the moment he surfaced to find a gator floating just feet away, its eyes locked on him like he was the afternoon snack. Then there's the water itself, often a toxic cocktail of fertilizers, algae blooms, and who knows what else leaching in from the green. So why would anyone take this job? Simple, the math. A skilled diver can retrieve upwards of 5,000 balls in a single day, which get cleaned, sorted by brand Titleist and Callaway's fetch top dollar, and sold to driving ranges or repackaged as recycled balls. At wholesale prices, that's a $5,000 payday before expenses. Some divers operate as freelancers, selling their hauls to middlemen, while others work for specialty companies that front the equipment in exchange for a cut. But here's the twist: technology is creeping in. A few courses now use robotic retrievers, essentially underwater Roombas, to sweep the ponds, threatening to make this niche trade obsolete. Yet many swear human divers still reign supreme. Robots can't navigate tangled roots or sense the difference between a ball and a rock, and they definitely can't outswim an alligator. At its core, golf ball diving is a stark reminder of how far people will go to monetize the mundane. Every water hazard is essentially a lost and found filled with accidental donations from weekend warriors, and these divers turn misfortune into profit. It's gritty, risky, and utterly unpredictable, but for those willing to brave the depths, it's a career where the hazards are as real as the rewards. Imagine staring at a conveyor belt moving at lightning speed, with hundreds of fluffy yellow chicks tumbling past every minute, and your job is to instantly determine which are male and which are female, all based on a split-second glance at their tiny rear ends. Welcome to the high-stakes world of chicken sexing, where the naked eye beats DNA tests, and a single mistake can cost farms thousands of dollars. This isn't just some quirky farmhand task. Professional chicken sexers train for months, sometimes even traveling to Japan, where the technique was perfected in the 1930s, to learn from masters. The process, called vent sexing, requires examining a chick's cloaca. That's the all-purpose opening birds use for, well, everything to spot minuscule differences in shape or texture that reveal gender. Male chicks might show a tiny bump or ridge, while females have a flatter or more recessed area. And no, you can't just wait and see. Poultry farms need to sort chicks within hours of hatching to optimize feed costs and space. Why does this matter so much? In the egg industry, male chicks are essentially useless. They don't lay eggs and they're not bred for meat like broiler chickens. Most are culled shortly after sorting, a grim reality that sparked ethical debates worldwide. But here's where the sexer's precision becomes economic gold. Misidentifying even 5% of chicks can wreck a farm's bottom line. Raise too many males by accident, and you're wasting feed on birds that'll never produce profit. Speed is just as critical as accuracy. A top sexer can sort up to 1,500 chicks an hour. That's one every 2.4 seconds with near-perfect accuracy. Some use a method called feather sexing, where wing feather length gives clues, but vent sexing remains the industry standard. And the pay, experienced sexers can earn over $70,000 a year, with some jet-setting between hatcheries worldwide as freelance consultants. But here's the twist: this ultra-niche skill is dying out. Automated systems using cameras and AI are creeping into hatcheries, though they still can't match human accuracy for certain breeds. Veteran sexers swap stories of trainees who washed out after days of eye strain or fumbled attempts to grip wriggling chicks without hurting them. It's a job that demands surgeon-like focus, hawk-eyed perception, and the endurance to stand for 10-hour shifts in humid, noisy warehouses. At its core, chicken sexing is a bizarre blend of ancient farming know-how and modern industrial efficiency. It's a reminder that behind every carton of eggs, there's an unsung expert who stared down thousands of baby birds and saw what almost no one else could. Ever wondered who decides if that premium kibble actually tastes like succulent beef flavor to your golden retriever? Enter the pet food testers, human beings who earn a living by sampling dog biscuits, crunching on cat treats, and yes, even judging the mouthfeel of canned chicken pâté meant for finicky felines. This isn't just a gimmick, it's a highly regulated process where trained palates stand in for pets, evaluating everything from texture to aftertaste so your furry critic never turns up their nose. The testing rituals are as precise as they are bizarre. Professional tasters don't just take a bite, they follow strict protocols designed to mimic animal eating habits. For dry food, that means crunching exactly 5 times to assess crispiness, then spitting it out to avoid swallowing because no one's getting paid to digest Purina. Wet food gets swirled on the tongue to test viscosity, while chew toys might be gnawed for hours to simulate a determined Labrador's jaw strength. Some labs even use flavor strips similar to those in human food science, where testers rate intensity on a scale from barely there to overpoweringly meaty. But here's the real challenge: translating human sensory feedback into what animals actually prefer. Cats, for instance, lack taste buds for sweetness but go wild for amino acids found in fish and poultry. That's why testers train for months to ignore their own cravings and focus on umami richness or metallic notes that might appeal to a cat's primal instincts. One tester described the irony of gagging on a delicious liver-flavored gel while knowing it would make a tabby's day. The pay isn't just for strong stomachs, it's for scientific rigor. Top testers earn up to 6 figures, armed with degrees in animal nutrition or chemistry. They work in labs where kibble batches are scrutinized under microscopes for color consistency, and where a single off flavor note can trigger a recall. Some even travel to pet owners' homes for observational studies, noting how quickly Fido devours new formulas versus his old favorites. What makes this job truly surreal isn't the act of tasting pet food, It's the realization that every bag on the shelf represents hundreds of human taste buds sacrificing dignity for data. In a world where pets are family, these testers are the invisible chefs ensuring even the pickiest four-legged foodie gets a meal worth wagging for. Next time your dog licks his bowl clean, remember, somewhere a person spit out that same recipe so your pup wouldn't have to. In some corners of America, grief isn't just a personal burden, it's a paid performance. Professional mourners, known as moirologists, are hired to amplify the sorrow at funerals, weeping loudly, clutching their chests, and even collapsing in exaggerated despair to help families express what they can't. This ancient tradition, dating back to Egyptian and Roman times, still thrives in certain immigrant communities and even high-end funeral services, where the right display of sorrow comes with a price tag. The job isn't about insincerity, it's about cultural ritual. In some Chinese, Appalachian, and Southern Black communities, a spirited funeral isn't just expected, it's considered a final act of respect for the deceased. Without enough visible grief, the departed might seem unloved or the family appears cold. That's where professional mourners step in, filling the emotional gaps with practiced wails and scripted lamentations. Some even recite poetry or sing dirges, turning the funeral into a theatrical tribute. Modern demand has taken surprising turns. Wealthy families now hire grief coordinators to manage entire services, including hiring mourners for ambience. One Las Vegas company offers customizable grief packages where clients select the intensity of mourning, from silent tear wiping to full-blown histrionics, complete with wardrobe choices like veiled black hats or tattered shawls for added drama. Rates can soar past $200 an hour for mourners with proven stage presence, but there's a deeper psychology at play. Studies show communal crying can actually ease bereavement, validating the bereaved's emotions. In a society where people often grieve alone, professional mourners create permission to feel deeply, breaking through the stoicism expected in everyday life. One hired mourner described a service where her sobs finally unlocked a grieving widow's tears after days of numb silence, proving that sometimes sorrow needs a spark. Critics call it melodramatic, but proponents argue it's no different than hiring musicians or caterers to honor the dead. After all, if laughter can be a paid performance at comedy clubs, why not tears? In a world increasingly uncomfortable with raw emotion, professional mourners are the last guardians of unfiltered, unapologetic grief, turning what could be a quiet goodbye into a cathartic, collective release. There's a job where one wrong move could mean the difference between life and death, not metaphorically, but in the most literal, fang-filled way possible. Snake milkers spend their days coaxing venom from some of the planet's deadliest serpents, turning their lethal weapon into life-saving medicine. Picture this: gloved hands gently pinning a diamond-back rattlesnake behind its head, its jaws forced open as fangs drip golden venom into a glass vial. One slip and that milker could be racing against the clock for an antidote they helped create. This isn't just adrenaline-fueled daredevilry, it's precision science. Every drop of venom harvested goes toward crafting antivenoms, which work like biological cheat codes. When injected into horses or sheep, the animal's immune systems produce antibodies that, once purified, can neutralize venom in human victims. Without milkers, hospitals wouldn't have those vials of liquid miracle tucked in emergency rooms. The process is so vital that labs pay top dollar for premium venom, with some varieties fetching over $5,000 per gram, making it one of the most expensive liquids on Earth, drop for drop. But how does someone even train for this? Apprenticeships often start with cold snake species whose venom won't kill you, like hognoses, before graduating to vipers and elapids. Veteran milkers develop an almost dance-like rhythm, secure the snake's head, guide its fangs over the vial's rim, and apply just enough pressure to stimulate venom release without agitating the animal. Some species, like the Gaboon viper, deliver enough venom in one milking to kill a dozen people, while others, like the shy coral snake, require patience to yield even a single precious drop. The risks are as real as the rewards. Even seasoned professionals get tagged occasionally. One milker described a near miss with a black mamba where the snake twisted mid-handling, its fangs grazing his glove. "You don't realize how fast deadly really is until you're counting seconds," he said. "That's why top facilities have antivenom vials labeled and ready, often made from venom collected in that very room." Beyond antivenom, snake venom is a goldmine for medical breakthroughs. Compounds in cobra venom are being studied for painkillers stronger than morphine but non-addictive. Viper venom contains proteins that could revolutionize blood clot treatments. Every milking session is a step toward unlocking nature's most potent pharmacy, one terrifying creature at a time. What makes this job extraordinary isn't just the danger, it's the paradoxical relationship between hunter and healer. These milkers don't see snakes as monsters, but as reluctant partners in a life-saving alliance. In their hands, the very thing that kills becomes the thing that saves, proving that sometimes the scariest jobs hold the sweetest rewards. Imagine getting paid to touch strangers' faces all day, not as a massage therapist or dermatologist, but as a professional face feeler, one of the beauty industry's best-kept secrets. These tactile experts assess skincare products with their fingertips, judging textures, absorption rates, and even the elusive slip of serums to ensure your favorite moisturizer feels as luxurious as it promises. Forget lab machines. In high-end cosmetics development, human touch remains the gold standard for evaluating how products truly perform on living skin. A typical workday for a face feeler might involve running their hands over dozens of volunteers' cheeks, foreheads, and chins, noting how a cream transitions from greasy to velvety, or whether a sunscreen leaves a ghostly white cast. They use a specialized vocabulary. Terms like tackiness, drag, and blotchiness aren't just descriptors but precise metrics that can make or break a product launch. Some even train blindfolded to heighten their tactile sensitivity, learning to detect differences as subtle as a 5% change in a lotion's viscosity. The science behind this is fascinating. Our fingertips contain thousands of nerve endings called mechanoreceptors, capable of discerning textures finer than the most advanced sensors. Where machines might measure a cream's thickness in microns, face feelers perceive how it lives on skin, whether it pills under makeup or lingers sticky in humid weather. Brands like L'Oreal and Estée Lauder employ entire panels of these experts, whose feedback shapes everything from luxury anti-aging lines to drugstore dupes. But there's more to it than soft hands. Face feelers calibrate their techniques to mimic real-world use. They might press a thumb gently across a forehead to test a primer's grip or tap rapidly to simulate foundation blending. Temperature matters too. Products react differently when applied with warm versus cool fingers, so some labs standardize hand-warming protocols before testing. And the stakes are high. One feeler recalled a $2 million formula being scrapped because her panel unanimously hated its chalky afterfeel, despite lab results calling it a success. What makes this job truly unique is its blend of artistry and physiology. A great face feeler doesn't just report sensations, they translate them into emotional responses. That silky finish, it triggers subconscious associations with luxury. A bouncy gel texture feels playful and youthful. In an industry where sensory experience drives purchase decisions, these experts bridge the gap between chemistry and desire, proving that sometimes the most advanced technology is the human hand. Next time you smooth on your favorite serum, take a moment to appreciate the unseen hands that felt their way to perfection, one touch at a time. Behind every crisp fortune cookie, there's a writer agonizing over how to squeeze wisdom, humor, or eerie foresight into a single sentence. These unsung wordsmiths craft thousands of tiny prophecies each year, blending Confucian proverbs with modern punchlines, all while avoiding the dreaded blank slip that could ruin someone's dessert. Picture a room where brainstorming sessions feel like a cross between a comedy writer's room and a philosophy seminar, where you will find love next Thursday, battles for space with beware of overhead poultry. The process is more rigorous than you'd think. Major fortune cookie companies employ teams who churn out up to 10,000 unique messages annually, testing each for cultural sensitivity, legal safety, no, you'll win the lottery, promises that could spark lawsuits, and that elusive aha factor. Some writers mine ancient texts for inspiration, others scroll trending hashtags for zeitgeisty quips. One veteran described the challenge as writing hakers for skeptics, every word must land. But here's where it gets surreal. Fortunes often undergo psychological testing. Focus groups rate how accurate random predictions feel, and certain phrases, like mentions of travel or romance, consistently score higher. There's even an unwritten rule that negative fortunes think bad luck follows you should never exceed 2% of production, because who wants their moo shu pork with a side of existential dread? The job isn't without its weird triumphs. A single fortune you will receive a pleasant surprise, reportedly sparked 3 weddings after recipients took it as a sign to propose. Another writer accidentally launched a meme by slipping in "Help, I'm trapped in a fortune cookie factory," which customers assumed was a hilarious prank rather than a cry for creative exhaustion. Yet beneath the whimsy lies a fascinating truth. These tiny papers tap into our hunger for meaning. In a world of algorithms and cynicism, we still let a random cookie crumb dictate our mood. Fortune writers aren't just crafting predictions, they're keeping alive the delightful illusion that the universe might be winking back at us. While most of us flee from bloodstains and the scent of death, crime scene cleaners walk straight toward them, not with badges or sirens, but with bleach, enzyme sprays, and industrial scrub brushes. These are the invisible workers who descend after detectives leave, transforming spaces of tragedy back into ordinary rooms. One cleaner described it as erasing the worst day of someone's life 1 square inch at a time, and that's not hyperbole. From unattended deaths to violent crimes, their job is part chemistry, part psychology, and entirely not for the faint of heart. The technical side alone would make most people queasy. Cleaners don hazmat suits and respirators to handle biohazards like decomposing tissue or bloodborne pathogens, using specialized tools like UV lights to detect invisible traces of bodily fluids. A single drop of blood can carry hepatitis or HIV, so every surface from wallpaper to floorboards must be sanitized down to the molecular level. Some jobs require dismantling entire sections of a home, cutting out stained carpets, removing drywall, even pulling up subflooring if fluids have seeped through. One veteran recalled a case where a single gunshot's aftermath took 3 days to clean because the bullet had passed through multiple rooms, leaving microscopic spatter on every surface. But the physical labor pales next to the emotional weight. Cleaners often interact with grieving families, some too traumatized to enter the space where a loved one died. One worker shared a haunting detail: the way families sometimes cling to mundane objects untouched by the tragedy, a clock still ticking, a coffee cup left on the table, as if those ordinary things prove life once existed there. Another spoke of cleaning a child's bedroom after a murder-suicide, carefully boxing up toys alongside bloodied bedding because the surviving relatives couldn't bear to do it themselves. The industry has grimly accurate slang for different scenarios. A lonely death refers to decomposing bodies undiscovered for weeks, where the cleanup involves maggot colonies and liquefied organs. A red scene means excessive blood loss, often requiring industrial pumps to remove fluids pooled in depressions of flooring. And then there's the term emotional residue, the invisible imprint left behind that no chemical can erase. Many cleaners develop rituals to cope, like burning sage after a job or taking extended showers to scrub away the psychic grime. What's startling isn't just the gore, it's the unexpected tenderness of the work. Cleaners frequently find themselves as unofficial grief counselors, listening to widowers sob while they bag a spouse's clothing or assuring a landlord that yes, the apartment will feel normal again. Some companies train staff in trauma-informed care, recognizing that how they handle personal items, photos, jewelry, a half-knitted scarf, can alter a family's healing process. One cleaner keeps spare gift boxes in her van to return keepsakes in something nicer than a biohazard bag. Financially, the stakes are higher than you'd guess. A single unattended death cleanup can cost families $15,000, with prices soaring for hazardous materials like meth lab residues. Insurance often covers it, but many cleaners describe the gut-wrenching moment when a family realizes their policy has a cap, forcing them to choose between financial ruin and leaving part of the horror unremediated. Some workers quietly discount services for elderly or low-income clients, knowing no one should have to live surrounded by remnants of loss. This job exists in the shadowy intersection of public health and human compassion. Without these crews, traumatized families would face DIY cleanup or abandonment of their homes, and diseases would fester in forgotten corners. Yet most cleaners remain anonymous, their work noticed only in its absence. As one put it, when we do it right, you'd never know we were there at all. That's the paradox of their trade, to leave no trace of themselves, just as they erase the traces of others' darkest hours. Ever been stuck in a line so long you wished you could pay someone to take your place? Turns out you can. Professional line standers make a living by trading their patience for profit, turning boredom into a lucrative side hustle. These human placeholders camp out overnight for concert tickets, queue for hours at product launches, and even reserve spots for trendy brunch spots. All so someone else can waltz in at the last minute, fresh as a daisy, and take their earned position at the front. This isn't just a quirky odd job, it's a full-blown industry fueled by our collective hatred of waiting. In cities like New York and Los Angeles, companies like Same Old Line Dudes and Rent a Line charge anywhere from $25 to $150 an hour, depending on the prestige of the event. Want front row seats to a Broadway show? A line stander might spend 36 hours braving the elements so you don't have to, craving the latest iPhone the minute it drops. They'll camp for days, surviving on snacks and sheer willpower while you sleep in your warm bed. The gig economy has turned this niche service into a streamlined operation. Apps now connect clients with available liners, complete with real-time updates and GPS tracking to prove their stand-in hasn't bailed. Some professionals even specialize, like the guy in D.C. who exclusively waits in line for Supreme Court hearings, or the woman in San Francisco whose entire business revolves around securing spots for Michelin-starred restaurant openings. But here's the twist: the job isn't just about endurance. Top-tier line standers are masters of strategy. They know which coffee shops near the queue have the best bathrooms, which blankets are warmest for overnight shifts, and even how to network with fellow standers to create a makeshift shift system for breaks. One liner described bringing a folding stool disguised as a cane to bypass no chairs rules, while another did a heated vest using USB warmers to survive a snowy Apple Store line. The psychology behind the demand is fascinating. In an era where time is the ultimate luxury, outsourcing inconvenience has become a status symbol. Why waste a precious Saturday waiting for cronuts when you can hire someone to do it for less than your hourly salary? And for the standers, the calculus works too. Many are students, freelancers, or retirees who'd rather earn $60 an hour than scroll through their phones at home. Yet the job isn't without its surreal moments. One veteran liner recalled the time he was hired to hold a spot for a billionaire's assistant, who then handed off the spot to the billionaire's dog walker, who ultimately surrendered it to the actual billionaire. Another shared the weird camaraderie of lines where strangers bond over shared misery, only to disperse the second the doors open. At its core, professional line standing exposes a modern paradox. We'll pay to avoid wasting time, while others profit from time we'd never spend ourselves. It's capitalism at its most transparent, where every minute has a price and patience is quite literally for sale. Waves aren't just for humans anymore, enter the dog surfing instructors, the patient souls who spend their days teaching golden retrievers to hang 10 and coaching bulldogs not to belly flop off boards. This isn't some internet stunt, it's a legitimate niche sport with competitions from California to Australia, where pups in rash guards ride the swell like furry little Kelly Slaters. Training a dog to surf starts long before they hit the water. Instructors begin with balance drills on land, using wobble boards to build core strength and treats to reinforce calm footing. The real challenge, overcoming canine instincts. Most dogs instinctively paddle when wet, but surfing requires them to stay still, a concept that baffles even the smartest breeds at first. One instructor described the light bulb moment when a Labrador finally realized moving its paws sideways would steer the board, turning frantic splashing into actual navigation. The sport has its celebrities. Ricochet, the surf therapy dog, rides waves to raise money for charities, while Abby Girl, an Australian kelpie, became a viral sensation for shredding barrels with what judges called unnaturally good cutbacks. Then there's the annual Lowe's Coronado Bay Resort competition, where Dachshunds in Life jackets compete for titles like Best Wipeout and Paw Effect Wave. Safety is non-negotiable. Professional instructors use custom canine surfboards with grippy traction pads and attach leashes to harnesses, not collars, to prevent neck injuries. Water temperature matters too. Cold waves require neoprene vests, while short-faced breeds like pugs get frequent breaks to avoid overheating. One trainer in San Diego keeps a bail bucket of fresh water on hand because saltwater drunk dogs are hilariously unpredictable. But why do dogs even enjoy this? Experts point to the same thrill humans get: the rush of gliding, the bond with their person, and yes, the applause. Many surfing pups visibly prance post-ride, tail wagging at spectators like they know they've nailed it. For anxious dogs, the focused activity can build confidence. For high-energy breeds, it's the ultimate workout. Behind the comedy of a surfing bulldog lies serious skill. Top instructors study canine body language to spot stress signals and adapt techniques per breed. Lanky greyhounds need wider stances, while corgis benefit from centered weight distribution. Some even incorporate surf therapy for disabled dogs, using modified boards to help three-legged pups experience buoyancy. What started as a quirky beach gag has evolved into a testament to what dogs can learn when we think outside the dog park. These instructors aren't just teaching tricks, they're proving that with enough patience and peanut butter, even man's best friend can master the ocean's rhythm, one gnarly wave at a time. Imagine getting paid to perfect the art of napping not on your lumpy couch, but on state-of-the-art mattresses while scientists monitor your every toss and turn. Professional mattress testers don't just crash on beds for fun. They're part of a multi-billion-dollar sleep industry where comfort is quantified down to the millimeter. These human lab rats spend their days dozing under infrared cameras, pressure sensors mapping their spinal alignment, and electrodes tracking how often they shift positions. One tester described it as like being a Goldilocks with a paycheck, hunting for that elusive, just right feel that could make or break a brand's next flagship product. The science behind this gig is anything but sleepy. High-tech sleep labs use pressure mats with over 2,000 sensors to measure how a mattress distributes weight, identifying spots where hips or shoulders might sink too far and throw the spine out of alignment. Testers are grouped by body type: petite side sleepers, heavyweight back sleepers, because a mattress that feels like clouds to one person could be a torture device for another. Some labs even simulate long-term whereby running mechanical butt-shaped indenters, yes, really that mimic years of use in just weeks. But machines can't replicate the subjective magic of human comfort, which is where the nap pros come in. A typical testing shift starts with rigorous prep. Testers avoid caffeine, log their previous night's sleep, and sometimes wear standardized pajamas to eliminate variables. Once horizontal, they're not just zoning out, they're rating firmness on a scale, noting if memory foam traps heat or if hybrid coils squeak during movement. The real challenge, staying objective when testing dozens of beds in a row. As one veteran put it, by lunchtime, you're debating whether medium plush feels more like marshmallow fluff or warmed-up taffy. The payoff for this somnolent work is staggering. The best testers can detect differences as subtle as a 5% change in latex density, skills that earn them six-figure salaries at luxury brands. Their feedback shapes everything from cooling gel layers to pillow-top quilting, with single tweaks influencing million-dollar production runs. One tester's note about edge support, how well a mattress holds up when you sit on the side, led a company to redesign its entire foam perimeter, boosting sales by 20%. But here's the twist. This job isn't just about comfort, it's about solving real health crises. Poor sleep costs the U.S. economy over $400 billion annually in lost productivity and medical bills. Testers working with medical-grade labs help design mattresses for arthritis sufferers, acid reflux patients, even couples with mismatched sleep styles. One project involved a bed with dual temperature zones after studies showed partners arguing over thermostat settings lost an hour of sleep per night. Behind the fluffy marketing claims lies a brutal truth. Most people keep mattresses for a decade without realizing they've adapted to terrible support. Testers describe the eureka, a moment when subjects try a properly fitted bed and discover they'd forgotten what pain-free mornings felt like. That's why the best testers see themselves as sleep detectives, part critic, part scientist, and entirely dedicated to the radical idea that a third of your life shouldn't leave you aching. Next time you sprawl out on a showroom mattress, remember, somewhere a professional sleeper is already 2 hours into their workday, snoring softly in the name of better Z's for us all. Picture a job where your office is the open ocean, your co-workers are seabirds, and your daily task involves lassoing floating mountains of ice. Iceberg movers are the unsung pioneers of an industry so niche it sounds like science fiction, harnessing billion-ton icebergs as freshwater reservoirs for drought-stricken regions. This isn't some futuristic fantasy. Back in 1977, Saudi Prince Mohammed Al Faisal funded Project Iceberg, a real attempt to tug Antarctic icebergs to the Arabian Peninsula. The plan: wrap a 100-million-ton iceberg in a giant floating skirt to prevent melting, then drag it 8,000 miles using tugboats. It failed spectacularly when the iceberg shattered like dropped glass, but the dream never melted away. Modern iceberg movers face physics-defying challenges. First, there's the sheer mass. A medium-sized iceberg weighs more than all the skyscrapers in Manhattan combined, and saltwater corrosively weakens their undersides. Then there's the death zone, the point where warmer waters cause catastrophic melting. Engineers now use satellite-tracked drones to map iceberg stability, identifying which ones have dense, ancient ice cores likely to survive the journey. Some companies experiment with iceberg nurseries, where smaller bergs are fused together using patented freezing techniques to create sturdier hybrids. The payoff could reshape global water economics. One average iceberg contains enough freshwater to supply 1 million people for 5 years, making them floating lifelines for places like Cape Town or California. A Canadian startup recently perfected a method of slicing off manageable chunks with heated wires, then shipping them in insulated barges instead of towing whole bergs. Their first client, a luxury resort in the Maldives that serves glacier ice cubes in cocktails at $500 a pop. Yet the real innovation lies in the unintended consequences. Ecologists discovered that melting icebergs release trapped nutrients, creating plankton blooms that revive marine ecosystems. Some movers now collaborate with fisheries, strategically placing bergs to boost fish populations. Others face criticism for climate colonialism, the idea that wealthy nations might exploit polar ice while ignoring the root causes of droughts. What makes this job extraordinary isn't just the engineering audacity. It's the realization that humanity's survival might one day depend on professionals who literally chase icebergs. In a world racing toward water scarcity, these modern-day ice wranglers are proving that sometimes the craziest ideas are the ones worth holding on to. Imagine stepping into a room and watching heads turn, not because you're famous, but because you're close enough to fool a crowd. Professional celebrity lookalikes make a living by being someone else's mirror image, cashing in on our fascination with fame without ever starring in a movie or dropping a hit single. From Elvis impersonators crooning at Vegas weddings to Not the Rock bodyguards hired to troll paparazzi, this job blurs the line between flattery and fraud, one double take at a time. The business of deception is surprisingly organized. Agencies like Celebrities for Hire and lookalikes worldwide maintain rosters of thousands of doppelgangers, meticulously catalogued by resemblance level, passable versus uncanny and specialty skills. A Barack Obama lookalike might charge $500 an hour for corporate speeches, while a budget Taylor Swift could make $200 for mall appearances. The real money, though, corporate gigs where companies hire, say, a fake Steve Jobs to surprise employees at product launches. One Elon Musk impersonator reportedly made $50,000 for a single crypto event in Dubai, where investors genuinely believed they'd met the real billionaire until he started reciting Lewis Carroll poetry instead of talking Mars colonies. But the ethics get murky fast. In 2019, a Nicolas Cage lookalike in Brazil was arrested for scamming fans out of thousands by signing autographs as the actor. Another agency famously furnished a decoy Queen Elizabeth for a private event, until guests noticed Her Majesty knocking back tequila shots. Most legitimate lookalikes operate under strict no misrepresentation clauses, but loopholes abound. Some clients deliberately seek out doubles for shady reasons, like a Russian oligarch who allegedly hired a Vladimir Putin impersonator to attend boring diplomatic dinners in his place. The psychological toll is rarely discussed. Top-tier lookalikes describe losing their own identities. Friends start calling them by the celebrity's name, and family photos feel like fan art. One Marilyn Monroe impersonator confessed she spent so much time in character that she now speaks in breathy whispers off-duty without realizing it. Others face creepy encounters. A young Emma Watson lookalike had to hire security after being stalked by a man convinced she was the actual Harry Potter star. Yet there's unexpected nobility in the trade. Some lookalikes work with children's hospitals, giving sick kids meetings with their heroes when the real celebrities are unavailable. During the pandemic, a group of aging Beatles doubles performed balcony concerts for nursing homes, bringing joy to isolated seniors who knew the truth but didn't care. As one veteran impersonator put it, "We're not stealing fame, we're lending it out like a costume anyone can try on for a little while." What makes this job fascinating isn't just the illusion, it's what it reveals about our relationship with celebrity. In a world where fame is currency, looking like someone famous can be its own kind of talent, proving that sometimes the best actors aren't on screen at all. Ever stop to think about who makes sure that elevator you step into every morning won't suddenly plummet 40 floors? Enter the elevator inspectors, the unsung guardians of vertical transportation who spend their days crawling through shafts, testing cables, and yes, riding more lifts in a year than most people will in a lifetime. These certified safety sleuths don't just push buttons, they scrutinize every groan, shudder, and ding of an elevator's operation with the precision of a surgeon checking a heartbeat. The job is equal parts engineering and adrenaline. Inspectors scale narrow ladder systems inside pitch-black shafts to examine decades-old pulley mechanisms, their flashlights revealing where patterns thinner than a credit card that could signal disaster. They analyze hydraulic fluid for contamination that might cause a sudden drop, and they test emergency brakes by deliberately tripping them. Imagine being the person who purposely brakes an elevator just to prove it won't break when you need it most. One veteran described the eerie sensation of dangling in a harness between floors, listening for the telltale ping of a frayed cable about to snap. Quirky doesn't begin to cover their routines. The average inspector rides over 2,000 elevators annually, developing an almost psychic sense for problematic lifts. Some swear they can diagnose issues just by the sound of the doors closing. A metallic screech might mean misaligned tracks, while a hesitant shudder could indicate motor trouble. Others keep emergency kits with unusual tools. Coins to check door sensor responsiveness, hold one in the gap if the doors reopen, sensors work, laser thermometers to spot overheating motors, and even bags of sand to simulate maximum weight loads. The stakes sky high. A single overlooked flaw can have catastrophic consequences, like the infamous 2018 incident in New York where a misaligned brake led to an elevator falling 84 floors miraculously. No one died. That's why inspectors follow codes stricter than airline regulations, with checklists covering everything from the tension of suspension, ropes to the placement of phone a friend buttons in case of entrapment. Modern inspectors even use ultrasound devices to detect microscopic cracks in cables long before human eyes could spot them. But here's what's wild: the job's challenges are evolving faster than the tech. With the rise of smart elevators that use AI to predict maintenance needs, inspectors now need IT certifications alongside mechanical expertise. Some high-rises have elevators that communicate directly with inspectors' tablets, streaming real-time performance data. But as one grumbled, you still got a knock on the walls to listen for hollow spots no algorithm can detect. Behind the hard hat and clipboard lies a bizarre truth. These professionals are the reason we casually step into metal boxes suspended by cables thinner than a wrist, trusting they'll deliver us safely. They're the invisible force keeping our urban world moving one floor at a time. Imagine standing in a stranger's wedding photos, holding their bouquet during the ceremony and calming their panic attacks, all while pretending you've been best friends for years. Professional bridesmaids turn this surreal scenario into a paycheck, offering their services to brides who need an extra hand or a fake friend to make their big day go smoothly. This isn't just about wearing a matching dress. It's a high-stakes performance blending event planning, therapy, and improv comedy, where one wrong move could unravel the bride's carefully crafted illusion. The job's emotional demands would exhaust even the most patient among us. Professional bridesmaids memorize backstories to sell the charade to nosy relatives, mediate screaming matches between mothers-in-law, and even take bullet points from angry bridesmaids who got demoted to guest status. One veteran described spending a bachelorette weekend locked in a bathroom with a bride hyperventilating over her fiancé's cold feet, only to emerge and lead a flawless group toast about how love always wins. Another recounted discreetly fixing a torn train mid-ceremony while whispering encouragement, all without breaking her teary-eyed bestie expression for the photos. Wedding chaos is their specialty. They're trained to handle disasters with military precision. Red wine spills on white dresses, they've got a stain pen and a distraction ready. Groom's ex shows up uninvited. They'll accidentally spill a drink on her while ushering her out. Some even carry emergency kits rivaling a spy's gear, sewing needles for last-second hem fixes, spare Spanx in 3 sizes, and enough bobby pins to rebuild the Eiffel Tower. One New York-based bridesmaid keeps a fake engagement ring in her purse because, as she put it, nothing derails a wedding faster than Aunt Linda sobbing about being single during the bouquet toss. But the real magic lies in reading unsaid cues. A pro knows when to hand the bride a tissue without her asking, which groomsmen to flirt with to make jealous exes seethe, and exactly how many glasses of champagne will loosen up the dance floor without causing a meltdown. Agencies like Bridesmaid for Hire and Best Woman Inc. now offer tiered packages. Basic stand-in services start around $500, while full-scale undercover best friend roles, complete with pre-wedding bonding sessions and social media posts, can hit 5 figures. The irony: many brides initially hire these strangers to avoid drama, only to confess their deepest fears to them by day's end. Professional bridesmaids become vaults for secrets they'll never share. Affairs called off at the altar, pregnancies hidden under corsets, even grooms who forgot the ring. As one put it, by sunset, I know more about her than her real maid of honor, and by Monday, I'm a ghost. It's a peculiar kind of intimacy, paid in cash and sealed with a bouquet toss. Proof that sometimes the most meaningful connections are the ones designed to disappear. Sticky sidewalks might seem like a minor nuisance until you realize each blackened wad underfoot is essentially fossilized bacteria and sugar clinging to pavement like superglue. That's where gum busters come in, armed with steam machines that could double as ghost hunting gear and scrapers strong enough to pry up years of petrified spit. These unsung sanitation warriors don't just clean sidewalks. They wage war against one of urban life's most stubborn pollutants, one chiseled blob at a time. The tools of the trade sound like something from a sci-fi pressure washer convention. Industrial steam guns shoot water heated to over 300 degrees Fahrenheit, liquefying gum's grip without toxic chemicals. Rotary brushes with stainless steel bristles scrub away residue, while eco-friendly solvents break down sugars that attract more grime. Some crews even use cryogenic freezing, blasting gum with liquid nitrogen to make it brittle enough to shatter like glass. But the real MVP, the humble putty knife. Veteran gum busters swear by custom-ground blades that can slide under a wad thinner than a dime without scratching concrete. Cities don't hire these crews just for aesthetics. Gum accumulation is a public health hazard, trapping everything from fecal bacteria to heavy metals from car exhaust. Studies show a single square foot of urban sidewalk can harbor over 50 gum wads, creating a sticky matrix of germs. That's why metropolises like Seattle and London award million-dollar contracts to specialty cleaning firms with performance clauses requiring 98% gum removal. One Chicago crew famously cleared 30,000 pieces from a single block near the Magnificent Mile, a record that earned them a ceremonial golden scraper from the mayor. The job's gross-out factor is legendary. Gum busters trade stories of unearthing decades-old specimens fused with cigarette butts or fossilized candy wrappers. Some report finding coins and even engagement rings embedded in layers of gum, like archaeological digs for the disgustingly patient. But the real challenge isn't the ike, it's the physics. Heat too little and the gum gloops into an unmanageable mess. Heat too much and it caramelizes into an even worse stain. The best operators develop a sixth sense for timing, listening for the faint hiss that signals the perfect softening point. What makes this work truly bizarre isn't the labor, it's the economics. Singapore famously banned chewing gum in 1992 after cleanup costs soared, while San Francisco spends over $3 million annually scraping it off historic cable car tracks. Some European cities install gum receptacles with witty slogans, "Give your gum a good home," but enforcement is spotty. Meanwhile, ingenious startups recycle harvested gum into everything from waterproof shoe soles to smartphone cases, proving one city's sidewalk blight could be another's raw material. At its core, gum busting is a battle against our collective carelessness, a reminder that even small, thoughtless acts like flicking a wad of spearmint onto pavement add up to civic nightmares. These crews don't just clean streets, they're the reason you don't feel like you're walking on a giant, germ-infused sticker book every time you step outside. When a $1 million racehorse pulls a muscle, You don't just slap on some liniment and call it a day. You call in a certified equine massage therapist, the unsung heroes who keep thoroughbreds galloping at peak performance. These specialists don't just rub sore spots. They're trained anatomists who can pinpoint a single knotted muscle in a 1,500-pound athlete, using techniques that blend ancient healing arts with cutting-edge sports science. Picture a spa day meets physical therapy session where the client might accidentally step on your foot if you hit the wrong pressure point. The job demands more than just strong hands. Equine massage therapists train for years to understand the unique biomechanics of horses, how a misaligned sacrum can throw off a stride, or how tension in the pectorals might explain why a stallion keeps veering left at the gate. They memorize every ligament and tendon in a horse's sprawling musculature, from the delicate pole muscles behind the ears critical for head carriage to the powerful glutes that propel them down the home stretch. Some even study thermography scans to detect inflammation invisible to the naked eye, turning massage into a precision science. Techniques vary as wildly as the horses themselves. Swedish-style strokes might calm an anxious mare before a big race, while deep tissue myofascial release could rehab a jumper after a hard landing. One therapist described using acupressure on a neurotic gelding's, calming points, specific zones along the spine that trigger endorphin release, transforming him from a bucking bronco to a Zen master in 20 minutes flat. Others swear by stretching sessions where they gently extend a horse's legs like a yogi, coaxing out extra inches of flexibility that shave milliseconds off race times. Certification is no joke. Top programs require hundreds of hands-on hours, equine physiology exams, and even business courses for those running mobile practices. The International Equine Bodyworker Association sets gold standard credentials, testing candidates on everything from lymph drainage techniques to emergency signs of colic mid-session. And because horses don't book appointments, therapists often work pre-dawn hours at stables or hustle between racetracks with folding tables in their trunks, braving everything from blizzards to temperamental stallions who'd rather nip than nap. The payoff: watching a horse that couldn't trot smoothly suddenly break its personal best after a few targeted sessions. One therapist recalled a Belmont contender who'd been underperforming until she discovered adhesions in his hamstrings post-massage. He roared back to win by 3 lengths. Another rehabbed a dressage horse so effectively, the owner sent her a bracelet woven from the horse's tail hair as thanks. At its core, this job is about translating touch into trust. These therapists don't just heal bodies, they decode the silent language of flinches, ear twitches, and hesitant steps, proving that even the fastest creatures on 4 legs sometimes need a human's helping hands. Who wouldn't want to get paid to zip down twisting water slides all day, splash into crystal blue pools, and call it work? Professional water slide testers turn this fantasy into reality, jet-setting to luxury resorts to evaluate every plunge, curve, and drop for safety and thrill factor. But don't let the tropical backdrops fool you. This job is more than just cannonballing into vacation vibes. It's a meticulous science where a single design flaw could mean the difference between squeals of joy and emergency room visits. The gig sounds like a permanent spring break, but the training is no joke. Testers often come from engineering or aquatic safety backgrounds, learning to assess slides using tools like inclinometers to measure angles and flow meters to track water pressure. They memorize industry standards like the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions guidelines, which dictate everything from the ideal speed of a loop-de-loop to the depth needed for a landing pool. One veteran described the surreal experience of riding a slide with a clipboard, noting how the seams between fiberglass sections should feel smooth as butter under your back at 30 miles per hour. Perks: oh, they're legendary. Top testers bounce between Dubai's record-breaking aqua parks, Disney's colossal wave pools, and hidden oasis resorts in Bali, all on someone else's dime. Some companies even let testers bring a +1, turning work trips into subsidized getaways, but the real prize, getting to name slides you helped design. Imagine telling friends you're the reason a 50-foot free fall chute is called the brain drain, because, well, that's exactly what it feels like mid-drop. Landing this role isn't just about loving water. Breaking in often starts with certifications in lifeguarding, OSHA safety protocols, or even mechanical engineering. Internships with slide manufacturers like Pro Slide or Whitewater West provide crucial hands-on experience, while networking at industry expos can lead to dream assignments. One tester shared how she got her start by obsessively measuring local community pool slides in her free time, compiling a portfolio of speed-to-fun ratios that impressed recruiters. The job's not all piña coladas and perfect plunges, though. Testers bravely endure the bad so guests never have to, like figuring out why a new slide's exit leaves riders with wedgies or why another's tunnel causes unintended somersaults. They're the ones who ride in the dark to check emergency lighting, who endure endless laps to confirm drainage won't flood, and who, yes, sometimes eat concrete when a prototype doesn't quite stick the landing. Yet beneath the adrenaline and airline miles lies a profound responsibility. Every tester has a story of catching a flaw that could have been catastrophic, a seam that split under stress tests, a curve that propelled riders too close to a wall. Their reports don't just tweak turns, they rewrite engineering blueprints. In a world where viral slide fail videos rack up millions of views, these pros are the invisible force ensuring your wildest splashdown stays safely epic. So next time you're weightless at the peak of a slide's drop, remember, somewhere out there a person did this 100 times in a row and called it a Tuesday. Imagine getting paid to snore not as a punchline but as a bona fide career. Professional sleepers are the human guinea pigs of the slumber world, trading their nighttime habits for science and luxury bedding companies eager to perfect the art of rest. These aren't just casual nappers, they're rigorously screened participants who clock in to sleep under the watchful eyes of infrared cameras, EEG caps studded with electrodes, and motion tracking sensors so precise they can detect when you twitch a pinky toe. The science behind this is anything but dreamy. Sleep labs resemble spaceship interiors, with walls lined in soundproof foam and beds rigged with pressure-sensitive mats that map every toss and turn. Participants wear skull caps threaded with wires that monitor brainwaves, distinguishing deep REM cycles from light sleep with the precision of a lie detector test. Some facilities even track subtle changes in heart rate variability or skin temperature data points that reveal how a mattress's firmness or a pillow's loft might unknowingly disrupt your sleep architecture. One veteran sleeper described the surreal experience of waking up to researchers whispering, "You shifted positions 12 times between 2 and 4 a.m. Was the left side of the mattress too warm?" But here's the twist, not all professional sleepers are created equal. Labs categorize testers by sleep type, back, side, or stomach sleepers, and even factor in body weight or partner habits for couples studies. A petite side sleeper might spend nights evaluating memory foam's pressure relief on her hips, while a heavyweight snorer tests anti-motion transfer features for restless partners. Some studies deliberately induce discomfort, like adjusting room temperature mid-sleep to see how bedding materials regulate body heat. One participant recalled a week of sleeping under a barrage of recorded traffic noises to test a soundproof pillows claims spoiler. It failed. The payoff, beyond hourly rates that can hit $300 overnight, testers influence multi-million-dollar product lines. Their feedback has led to innovations like cooling gel-infused mattresses for menopausal women or customizable dual-zone beds for couples who can't agree on firmness. One tester's note about edge support, how well a bed holds up when you sit on the side, prompted a redesign of luxury hybrid models, preventing the dreaded roll-off effect. Others have exposed deceptive marketing, like a hypoallergenic pillow that actually triggered allergic reactions in every tester. Yet the job isn't just about comfort, it's a frontline defense against a global sleep crisis. With studies linking poor rest to everything from Alzheimer's to diabetes, professional sleepers provide data that shapes public health recommendations. Their nights in labs have debunked myths. No, counting sheep doesn't work faster than reading. Validated ancient remedies, weighted blankets really do reduce anxiety. And even improved hospital ICU designs after tests showed noise levels disrupted patient recovery. What makes this profession extraordinary isn't the novelty of getting paid to nap. It's the realization that sleep, something we all do instinctively, remains one of science's great frontiers. These testers don't just clock pillow time, they're pioneers in a silent revolution to reclaim the lost art of rest, one monitored dream at a time. Ever notice how some crowds just sound too perfect, like every cheer erupts at the exact right moment, or laughs hit like they've been rehearsed? That's no accident. Professional crowd cheerers are the secret conductors of audience energy, hired to turn awkward silences into roaring applause and dead zones into electric atmospheres. These aren't just over-enthusiastic fans, they're trained performers who study crowd psychology like scientists, knowing exactly when to clap, chant, or even fake a gasp to manipulate the room's mood. Sports teams were early adopters. Ever wonder why NBA games feel like non-stop parties, even when the home team's down by 20 behind every defense? Chant or coordinated wave, there's likely a hype crew strategically placed in the stands. These squads memorize player stats so they can shout personalized encouragement. "Let's go, number 23. And they're trained to spot lulls before they kill momentum. Some even wear earpieces linked to the arena's sound team, receiving real-time cues on when to start cheers that'll spread like wildfire. One minor league baseball team took it further, hiring actors to play superfans, complete with outrageous costumes and scripted rivalries, because nothing sells tickets like the illusion of die-hard community spirit. But the real masters of manufactured enthusiasm, TV studios, sitcoms and game shows have used professional audience warm-up comedians since the 50s, part MC, part therapist. These hosts spend 30 minutes pre-show teaching crowds elaborate clap patterns and rehearsing reactions. When I point at you, that's your cue to go ooh. They'll crack jokes to loosen people up, then remind them that over-laughing means free snacks during breaks. Some shows, like The Price is Right, even employ cascaders, ringers planted in the audience who jump up screaming when called to come on down. To model the right energy, and if a joke bombs during taping, cue the sweeteners, pre-recorded laughs or applause pumped in to save the edit. The ethics get murky in competitive settings. Reality shows like American Idol or The Voice have faced backlash for coaching audiences to boo certain judges or cheer disproportionately for favored contestants. Sports leagues quietly admit that some fan cams pan to hired performers first to encourage organic participation. Even political rallies aren't immune. Some campaigns have been caught bussing in cheer squads to amplify key applause lines. It's all about the illusion of consensus, the psychological principle that humans mirror group behavior. If 3 people stand and clap, 30 will follow. Yet for all the artifice, there's an art to it. Great crowd cheerers aren't just loud, they're human metronomes, reading a room's tempo and adjusting their energy to prevent fatigue. They know middle-aged attendees at a corporate event need different prompts than frat boys at a college game. Some specialize in recovery cues, like starting a slow clap after a performer flubs a note to rebuild confidence. Others study regional quirks. Japanese audiences might prefer synchronized clapping, while Brazilian crowds thrive on drum-led chants. What's fascinating isn't just that these jobs exist, but how expertly they expose our herd instincts. We like to think our reactions are purely organic, but drop one trained cheerleader in a crowd of 50, and suddenly everyone's chanting like their life depends on it. In a world craving authentic connection, the irony is rich. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. Ever wondered who decides whether a beard oil truly gives that lumberjack meets SEO sheen? Meet the beard models, the follicular superstars whose jawlines are insured for thousands, all because of what grows on their faces. This isn't just modeling with extra scruff. It's a hyper-niche industry where a quarter-inch of patchiness can cost you a campaign, and your morning stubble might be timed to the minute for a photo shoot. Top beard models don't just wake up looking like a Viking warlord, they follow grooming rituals that would make a skincare influencer blush. Imagine a daily regimen involving heated beard combs to train hair direction, midnight applications of argan oil blends, and specialized trims where every snip is measured with calipers to maintain perfect symmetry. Some even sleep with silk pillowcases to prevent split ends because yes, beard hair gets those too. The most sought-after models work with beard stylists who sculpt their facial hair like topiaries, whether it's a Duck Dynasty-level cascade or the perfectly faded corporate shadow demanded by high-end grooming brands. The market for beard talent is surprisingly cutthroat. Agencies like Beard Brand and the Beard Club maintain rosters categorized by style. Corporate tight, think Idris Elba's exact millimeter of stubble, full mountain man, braids optional but encouraged, and designer scruff, that artfully messy 3-day growth you see in cologne ads. Rates vary wildly. A model with naturally dense, rapidly growing hair might earn $500 an hour for clinical trials testing biotin-infused serums, while social media influencers with signature styles like the Anchor or the Garibaldi can land 6-figure sponsorships. One model famously lost a luxury campaign after shaving for a movie role. His beard was so iconic, the growth process became a documentary called The 6-Month Shadow. Brands fight hard for these faces. Viking Revolution once flew a model to Norway to shoot amidst fjords, insisting the authentic Nordic backdrop would make his beard's amber hue pop. Meanwhile, scientific startups hire beard models for follicle density studies, using microscopes to track how new serums affect individual hairs, the weirdest gig. Posing for beard transplant clinics where models' lush growth serves as the after in terrifying before and afters. What makes this job extraordinary isn't the vanity, it's the bizarre intersection of biology and commerce. These models are living laboratories, their faces proof that in the right market, even facial hair can become a 6-figure asset. So next time you splash on that fancy beard bomb, remember, somewhere a man got paid to let strangers measure his split ends. Ever dreamed of getting paid to lurch around with rotting flesh peeling off your face for zombie extras? That's just another day at the office. These undead performers are the backbone of America's booming haunted attraction industry, where the demand for convincing ghouls spikes every Halloween like a heart rate on a jump scare. But this isn't just about shuffling and groaning, it's a legit acting gig with prosthetics so realistic, you'll forget you're staring at a college student slathered in latex and corn syrup. The transformation from human to horror is shockingly intricate. Before dawn on opening night, zombie extras line up for makeup sessions that can last 5 hours. Airbrush artists layer on decaying skin tones, while special effects crews apply pre-molded prosthetic wounds, gelatinous gashes that jiggle with every step, or exposed bone made from dental acrylic. The real magic, articulated silicone pieces that move with facial expressions, letting zombies snarl with missing cheeks or blink through hollowed-out eye sockets. One veteran described the surreal moment when a child screamed upon recognizing her from the local grocery store. Her post-apocalyptic makeup was so convincing, even daylight didn't break the illusion. Peak season turns these performers into nomadic artists. From September through November, professional zombies crisscross the country, following the haunting circuit from theme parks like Universal's Halloween Horror Nights to pop-up attractions in abandoned warehouses. The pay reflects the grind. Elite performers at major haunts can pull in $3,000 a month, while indie scream parks trade free meals and crash space for gruesome talent. Some even specialize. There are zombie clowns, zombie brides, even zombie rodeo clowns, each with choreographed scares tailored to their horrific niche. But the job's not all fake blood and adrenaline. The physical toll is bone deep. Imagine standing in a damp corn maze for 8 hours, your foam latex mask trapping sweat as you contort into unnatural poses. Many zombies develop haunt back from crouching in dark corners or lose their voices from hours of guttural moaning. The psychological side's just as intense. Performers trained to handle everything from drunk guests throwing punches to terrified visitors wetting themselves mid-scream. One extra recalled a night when her severed arm prop triggered a veteran's PTSD episode, a reminder that fear walks a fine line between fun and trauma. What makes this career fascinating isn't the gore, it's the artistry behind the terror. These performers study movement theory to perfect their undead gaits, some taking inspiration from stroke patients or Parkinson's tremors for authenticity. Others craft elaborate backstories for their characters. I'm a zombified dentist seeking revenge on floss avoiders, turning static scare zones into immersive narratives. The best haunts now employ scare coaches who drill actors on timing, ensuring jump scares land like well-timed punchlines rather than cheap shocks. When the season ends, the zombie diaspora scatters. Some return to day jobs as teachers or baristas, while others pivot to year-round gigs as makeup artists for horror films or escape rooms. A few even repurpose their skills for therapeutic work, like haunted house therapy for phobia treatment. But come next September, the horde reassembles ready to turn your worst nightmare into their 9 to 5. Because in a world obsessed with zombies, someone's got to be the monster under the bed and clock out before sunrise. In the high-stakes world of casinos, where fortunes hinge on the roll of a die, there's someone whose entire job revolves around ensuring those tiny cubes are absolutely perfect. Meet the dice inspectors, the unsung guardians of gambling fairness who scrutinize every millimeter of casino dice with the precision of a watchmaker and the paranoia of a spy. These specialists don't just glance at dice, they dissect them under magnifiers, measure them with calipers accurate to 1/1000th of an inch, and even listen to them like doctors checking a heartbeat. Because when millions ride on a single roll, even a hairline scratch or a fractionally rounded corner could tilt the odds. The tools of the trade sound like something from a forensic lab. Inspectors use laser micrometers to confirm each die is perfectly cubed, with edges sharp enough to meet gaming commission standards, typically within 2/1000ths of an inch of perfection. They roll dice across glass plates to test for wobbles that might indicate uneven weight distribution, and they dunk them in water to check for hidden cavities filled with mercury or tungsten, two favorite tricks of cheats. One veteran inspector described discovering a die that had been hollowed out, injected with a weighted liquid, then resealed with clear epoxy so flawless it was invisible until viewed under polarized light. Why the obsession? Casino dice aren't your grandma's Monopoly pieces. Each one costs up to $100, crafted from acrylic so transparent it's nicknamed rhino skin for its durability. They're replaced every 8 hours in busy craps pits because microscopic nicks from repeated throws can subtly alter outcomes. Before deployment, new dice are bathed in ultraviolet light to reveal any manufacturing flaws, and their serial numbers are logged like priceless artifacts. In Las Vegas, discarded dice are drilled through or melted down to prevent dumpster divers from harvesting cold, unused dice for scams. The history of dice cheating reads like a noir thriller. Old-school hustlers once employed tops and bottoms, dice shaved imperceptibly to favor certain numbers. Others used bristle dice with tiny fibers inside that could be manipulated by magnets under the table. Modern inspectors train with X-ray scanners to spot such tampering, but the cat and mouse game never ends. One Atlantic City casino once caught a dealer colluding with players by switching in pre-rolled dice that always landed on 7, a feat achieved by reheating the corners to create subtle biases. Beyond catching cheats, inspectors are psychologists. They study how players handle dice, watching for capping, palming a die during a throw, or sliding, deliberately rolling off the table to invalidate a bad result. Some high roller rooms now use RFID chips embedded in dice to track their every movement, while infrared cameras monitor tables for suspicious patterns. Yet, even with all this tech, human intuition remains vital. As one inspector put it, a machine can measure a die's dimensions, but it takes a trained eye to notice when someone's hands twitch just before rolling. What makes this job extraordinary isn't just the precision, it's the philosophical weight behind it. In a world built on chance, dice inspectors are the last line of defense, ensuring that luck, not deception, determines who walks away a winner. Their work is a silent pact with every player. When the dice hit the felt, the only thing loaded is the tension in the room. Swimming through azure waters while crowds gasp at your glittering tail isn't just a childhood fantasy. It's a full-time gig for professional mermaids, the aquatic performers who have turned myth into a paycheck. These aren't just cosplayers splashing in a pool. They're highly trained athletes who combine freediving, synchronized swimming, and theatrical flair to create the illusion of another world beneath the waves. Whether enchanting visitors at aquariums or making birthday parties unforgettable, professional mermaids live in a realm where fantasy and grueling physicality collide. The first hurdle, the tail itself. Custom silicone tails can weigh over 30 pounds dry and cost upwards of $5,000, molded to fit the performer's legs like a second skin. Moving in them requires the core strength of a gymnast and the lung capacity of a deep-sea diver. Mermaids train for months to master the dolphin kick, a full-body undulation that propels them gracefully while their ankles are bound together. One performer described the sensation as trying to run a marathon while wearing a wedding dress made of wet cement. And that's before adding tricks like blowing bubble rings or executing underwater somersaults without stirring up sediment that ruins the magical aesthetic. Safety is anything but fairy tale simple. Performers practice emergency tail removal drills in case of entanglement, and aquarium mermaids often work with dive spotters who monitor their oxygen levels during long shows. The most dedicated invest in freediving certifications, learning to suppress their mammalian dive reflex to stay submerged for minutes at a time. One mermaid at Weeki Washi Springs in Florida famously performs a 6-minute underwater ballet while breathing from a hidden air hose disguised as coral, a trick that demands the precision of a magician and the discipline of a Navy SEAL. Yet the real magic lies in the performance. Aquarium mermaids don't just swim, they embody characters, interacting with children through glass with exaggerated gestures and ethereal smiles. Private event mermaids craft entire storylines like rescuing a lost treasure chest or taming a rogue inflatable shark. Some specialize in underwater photography shoots, holding poses mid-current while maintaining flawless hair swirls, a skill that earns top performers over $500 an hour. The best develop signature moves like the pearl flip, retrieving a fake pearl with their toes and tossing it to the surface, or the coral perch, balancing upside down on one hand atop a fake reef. The industry's dark underbelly, copycats who underestimate the dangers. Viral videos have spawned a wave of untrained enthusiasts attempting tails in unsafe conditions, leading to near drownings in hotel pools or cramped backyard ponds. Professional mermaid schools now offer courses covering everything from equalizing ear pressure to avoiding hypothermia during winter gigs, because nothing ruins the illusion faster than a shivering mermaid with blue lips. What makes this job extraordinary isn't just the sparkle, it's the stamina. These performers are equal parts marine biologist, stunt coordinator, and Disney princess, proving that even the most whimsical dreams demand real-world grit. Next time you see a mermaid glide past, remember, behind that sequined smile are calves of steel and lungs trained to turn oxygen into art. Ever scrolled through glowing 5-star reviews for a product only to receive something that barely works? That disconnect isn't always bad luck. It's often the work of fake reviewers, a shadowy army of paid writers who flood the internet with fabricated praise. These hired guns don't just leave vague compliments, they craft elaborate narratives, fake unboxing videos, and even stage candid photos to make their endorsements seem genuine. One notorious ring busted by the FTC created over 50,000 fake Amazon accounts, each with unique backstories, to manipulate rankings for products like miracle weight loss teas and USB cables that allegedly charged phones in seconds. The tactics are alarmingly sophisticated. Some companies ship empty boxes to verified purchasers to trigger Amazon's coveted verified purchase badge, while others offer refunds in exchange for 5-star reviews buried in legal fine print. On freelance sites like Fiverr, sellers openly advertise authentic-looking reviews with tiered pricing: $20 for a basic testimonial, $50 for one with photos, and $100 for a multi-paragraph saga complete with fake receipts. One undercover investigation revealed reviewers being coached to mention specific details. The lavender scent reminded me of my grandmother's garden, to bypass AI detectors trained to spot generic praise. Ethically, it's a minefield. While a single fake review might seem harmless, the scale is staggering. A Harvard study found that just a 1-star bump from fabricated ratings can boost sales by up to 9%, enough to sink honest competitors. Small businesses often face extortion-like pressure, with shady agencies offering reputation management packages that magically vanish negative reviews if they don't pay up. Even apps aren't immune. Developers have been caught bribing users with premium features in exchange for App Store ratings, creating a vicious cycle where legitimate apps drown in algorithmic obscurity. But the backlash is growing. Amazon now employs machine learning to zap millions of suspect reviews annually, while platforms like Yelp flag suspicious activity with scarlet consumer alert warnings. Some countries treat fake reviews as fraud. In Italy, a hotel chain was fined €500,000 for commissioning hundreds of glowing TripAdvisor write-ups. Meanwhile, sleuths like the Twitter account at Fake Spotting expose laughably obvious scams, like a review for a dog leash that gushed, "My husband's prostate cancer improved within days of using this." What's chilling isn't just the deception, it's how it warps our trust. Research shows we're terrible at spotting fakes. Even obvious 5-star copy-pastes excellent product. Will buy again sway purchasing decisions. In a world where opinions are currency, these mercenary wordsmiths prove that when money talks, authenticity often walks. There are schools where grown men study the fine art of belly laughs, perfecting the exact pitch of ho ho ho, and learning to answer questions like, how do reindeer fly? Without breaking character, welcome to Santa School, the real-world academies where professional Kris Kringles train to bring holiday magic to life. These aren't casual workshops, they're intensive boot camps where every twinkle in the eye, each strand of the beard, and even the way mittens are held must meet exacting standards. At the world-famous Charles W. Howard Santa School in Michigan, the Harvard of Santa education students spend 12-hour days mastering everything from sleigh aerodynamics. The official answer involves Christmas magic and cornflakes to advanced child psychology. Instructors drill Santas on handling tough questions like, "Why didn't you bring me a puppy last year?" with responses that soothe rather than disappoint. One pro tip: never promise anything. Redirect with, "What else is on your wish list?" to avoid tears. The curriculum even includes lap training, teaching Santas how to hoist children without crushing velvet suits or triggering toddler meltdowns. Beard maintenance is serious business. Top-tier Santas invest thousands in real beards, treating them like religious artifacts. Classes cover whitening techniques, avoid chlorine it yellows, detangling for candy cane mishaps, and the sacred 3-comb rule for fluffiness. Some use beard implants for patchy spots, while others swear by monthly trims with golden scissors for snowy split-end prevention. At the International University for Santa Claus in Denmark, students practice beard protection drills, like leaning slightly back when kids inevitably yank, preserving both hair and holiday spirit. The psychology sessions are unexpectedly profound. Santas learn to spot abuse victims, taught to report phrases like, "Daddy says I don't deserve presents," comfort grieving children requesting heaven-bound deliveries, and handle special needs visitors with care. One instructor recounted training a Santa to communicate via touch with a nonverbal autistic boy. Their silent hug made the front page. Another teaches cry management, using distraction techniques like suddenly finding a stray ornament in a child's pocket to pivot from tears to wonder. Behind the velvet gloves lies a billion-dollar industry. Elite mall Santas can earn over $15,000 a season, while corporate event Santas charge $500 an hour for private parties. The best attend Santa conventions worldwide, swapping tips on everything from cooling vests for tropical gigs to Bluetooth-enabled naughty list tablets. There's even a Santa ethics code: no alcohol in costume, never reveal the secret workshop location, and always change out of the suit before hitting the drive-thru unless you want to traumatize fast food workers. What makes this profession extraordinary isn't the theatrics, it's the realization that for many kids, Santa is the first person who truly listens to them. These trained Santas aren't just playing dress-up, they're guardians of childhood wonder, proving that sometimes the most magical jobs come with dry cleaning bills and a lifetime supply of fake snow. Selling someone their final resting place isn't about pushing a product, it's about navigating grief, guilt, and the uncomfortable reality that none of us are getting out of this alive. Cemetery plot salesmen operate in a world where closing the deal might mean convincing a healthy 30-year-old to prepay for a gravesite next to their parents, or soothing a widow's anxiety about ending up alone even in death. The pitch isn't just about square footage of dirt, it's about crafting a legacy, one meticulously landscaped plot at a time. Pre-need sales, the industry term for selling graves before they're needed, is a masterclass in emotional marketing. Top sellers know that the key isn't to dwell on death, but to frame burial plots as the ultimate act of love. Imagine a presentation where a salesman flips through glossy brochures showing companion estates for married couples, complete with side-by-side headstone mock-ups and phrases like "together for eternity." One veteran rep described the psychological hook: "I don't sell holes in the ground, I sell peace of mind, the promise that your family won't be burdened with decisions while they're grieving." The tactics walk a fine line between empathetic and opportunistic. Some cemeteries host free estate planning seminars at senior centers, subtly steering conversations toward pre-purchase plots. Others use limited availability strategies, showing maps with sections marked nearly sold out to trigger scarcity instincts. There's even generational selling, where salesmen encourage grandparents to buy plots for unborn grandchildren, framing it as a family reunion in the afterlife. One particularly bold campaign in Texas offered a buy one, get one half off deal for married couples, turning mortality into a Black Friday special. But the real money is in the add-ons. A basic plot might start at $2,000, but the upsells are where cemeteries clean up eternal vaults to prevent sinking. 3,000 custom engravings, beloved golfer for remembered. Even GPS markers so future relatives can locate the grave via app. One salesman in Florida clocks six-figure commissions by convincing clients to upgrade to premium views near lakes or trees, despite the obvious irony that the resident won't exactly enjoy the scenery. The industry's dark underbelly emerges when high-pressure sales collide with vulnerability. elderly buyers have been swindled into purchasing plots they'll never use, or worse, discovering their prepaid plans don't cover opening and closing fees when the time comes. In 2018, a chain of cemeteries was fined millions for hard-selling plots to dementia patients who couldn't consent. Yet ethical salesmen exist too, like the rep in Oregon who volunteers to place flowers on clients' graves every Christmas, or the family-owned cemetery in Vermont that refuses to sell to hedge funds turning graveyards into real estate assets. What makes this job uniquely unsettling isn't the morbidity, it's the tension between commerce and compassion. These salesmen aren't just closing deals, they're helping people confront mortality while turning a profit from it. In a world where we avoid even saying die, they've built careers on the one purchase everyone will eventually need, proving that the most uncomfortable truths often come with a sales receipt. Standing motionless for hours, covered in metallic paint and perched on a tiny pedestal, the human statue is a masterclass in endurance and illusion. This isn't just street performance, it's a physical and psychological marathon where the slightest blink or sway can shatter the magic. The best living statues don't just freeze, they create the uncanny illusion of being forged from bronze or marble, drawing crowds with the sheer discipline of their stillness. But behind the artistry lies a world of blisters, hecklers, and the occasional pigeon mistaking you for an actual monument. The secret to perfect stillness isn't brute force, it's biomechanics. Professionals train like athletes, learning to distribute weight evenly to avoid muscle fatigue. Some adopt ballet poses, using turnout techniques to stabilize their hips, while others rely on hidden supports like discreet straps or rods. One veteran performer in Barcelona swears by a meditation trick, focusing on a single point in the distance while regulating breath to slow the pulse. The goal, to enter a near-hypnotic state where time distorts and 10 minutes feels like 2. Even then, the body rebel's joints stiffen, toes cramp, and that one itch behind the ear becomes a maddening siren call. The real pros, they've mastered the art of micro-adjustments, a barely perceptible shift of weight during a crowd's collective blink, or a slow eyelid droop disguised as a sculpted shadow. Dealing with the public is its own tightrope act. Street audiences range from awed toddlers to drunk college students testing your limits. Seasoned statues develop a sixth sense for trouble, spotting the telltale smirk of someone about to poke them or the raised phone signaling an attempt to provoke a reaction. The best responses are often silent ones, a sudden mechanical turn of the head achieved with glacially slow control can startle a heckler into retreat. Others use humor. A statue in New Orleans carries a tiny sign that reads, "Touch me and I'll follow you home," which reliably stops wandering hands mid-reach. The paint is another battlefield. High-end performers use hypoallergenic metallic pigments mixed with moisturizers to prevent cracking, layered over a base of baby powder to absorb sweat. Eyes are lined with black to eliminate the wet shine of blinking, and costumes are reinforced with wire to hold dramatic folds. But even the best preparations can't defeat weather. Summer heat turns a statue's suit into a slow cooker, while winter chills make muscles lock up like rusted hinges. One performer in Chicago recounted the time his silver makeup froze solid during a December gig, forcing him to thaw out in a coffee shop with a crowd of concerned baristas. The payoff, a peculiar kind of fame. Regulars at tourist hotspots often recognize their favorite statues, tipping generously for signature moves: a clockwork bow, a robotic flower offering. Some performers build entire characters, like the steampunk pharaoh in London who interacts with children through mime, or the timekeeper in Prague who wins himself with an imaginary key every hour. The most successful turn their act into a brand, selling merch like mini statues or signed photos. It's a career that demands equal parts sculptor, actor, and contortionist, proving that sometimes the most captivating art isn't hung on a wall but standing silently on the sidewalk, daring you to look twice. From sniffing armpits for science to diving into alligator-infested ponds for lost golf balls, we've explored the bizarre, the unexpected, and the downright surreal jobs that prove necessity and creativity can birth careers you'd never dream up in a million years. Who knew cuddling strangers, milking venom from snakes, or pretending to be a statue could pay the bills? These roles aren't just odd, they're testaments to human ingenuity, filling gaps we didn't even know existed. Whether it's the eerie precision of chicken sexers or the heartwarming hustle of professional bridesmaids, every job on this list exists because someone, somewhere, saw a problem and thought, "I bet I could fix that for money." What ties them together isn't just the weirdness, it's the reminder that work doesn't have to fit into a neat little box. Behind every quirky title is a story of adaptation, whether it's turning grief into a service, loneliness into connection, or even boredom into profit. These jobs challenge our assumptions about what work should look like, proving that passion, niche skills, and a tolerance for the unconventional can carve out a livelihood in the most unexpected places. So now it's your turn. Which of these wild careers would you brave? Would you trade your desk chair for a surfboard to teach golden retrievers how to hang 10? Or would you rather get paid to nap on premium mattresses all day? Drop your pick in the comments, and who knows, maybe your dream job is lurking just outside the ordinary, waiting for someone bold enough to say, "Why not?" After all, in a world where people get paid to watch paint dry, the only limit is your imagination. Well, that and maybe a strong stomach.